Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. So glad you're with us. We're here for the next 3 hours on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. My name is Dan Lucero. I'll be joined later on by Spencer Dupuis. Brendan Dorzinski is off today. However, wherever and whenever you are joining the program today, thanks so much for being a part of the audience here on 580 Sports Talk. Lots to get to today. Boy, we got a super wild card weekend, didn't we? They don't call it that anymore. We got 4 really exciting football games. We also got Patriots, Chargers, but they can't all be winners, right? We got some good football this weekend. And as is usually the case, the quarterbacks are the story. And my long-held thesis that this is a quarterback league, and if you do not have the quarterback, you're going to have a bad time come playoff time. Well, I think that held up pretty well through the first 5 of these 6 wildcard weekend games. Obviously, still one more game to go. You'll be able to hear it right here tonight on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. The Texans and the Steelers. We'll pick up pregame coverage from Westwood One at 7 o'clock following tonight's edition of the Jeff Mittie Show from the K-State Sports Network. That'll run from 6 to 7. And we'll pick up the pregame coverage. We'll have the full game broadcast of the Texans and the Steelers to determine who will be our 8th and final team into the divisional round. But we had 5 of the games over the weekend, and 4 of them were heaters. 4 of them were really good. And the teams who won largely did so because of outstanding quarterback play. And some of the teams who lost, some of the losing teams, I'll figure it out. It's a Monday. It's Monday for all of us. I'll improve my English as we go along. Some of the teams that lost over the weekend have only, well, not only, but largely their quarterback to blame. So we're going to talk a lot about the wild card weekend that was, and yeah, we'll look ahead to tonight's game. Plenty of discussion about the level of quarterback play, everything else that went into the games this weekend. We're going to get Matt Verderame's thoughts, our NFL insider. He's our guest today. He'll join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. We'll get his insight on how wild card weekend transpired and an early look ahead to the divisional round games. We know the matchups by and large. We don't know if it's going to be the Texans or the Steelers, but we know that they will play the Patriots. They'll go up to Foxborough while the Bills go to Denver in the AFC. Over in the NFC, it's the NFC West Invitational, pretty much. It'll be Seahawks 49ers in Seattle and the Rams going on the road to take on the Bears. We'll talk about those games. We'll talk about the quarterback play. We'll talk about some of the non-quarterback heroes of the weekend as well. It won't all be quarterback-driven, but it's a quarterback league. It's a quarterback league. Those are the fun players to talk about. It just so happens that they are the most interesting players to talk about from the weekend that was. And we'll talk about which team ought to feel the worst about their early playoff exit. Really, it's down to just 2 teams. And I know you know which 2 teams I'm going to talk about when we get around to that in the 4 o'clock hour. So lots of football today. Excited to talk some football with you all after that wild card weekend. We're also going to get into some college hoops. Very similar losses for KU and K-State on Saturday, where big second half runs by the home team and some front court issues. Ineptitude is too strong a word to refer to the front courts of both the Jayhawks and the Wildcats, but they're not getting good enough production. They're not getting good enough play from their bigs. Basketball is a game of smalls and talls, and KU and K-State's talls, not good enough right now. And it's why KU, big part of why KU's 1-2. It's a big part of why K-State is 0-3 in Big 12 play. And season's on the brink for both teams as they go into home games later on this week. KU at home against Iowa State tomorrow night. K-State hosting UCF on Wednesday. So we'll get into a little bit of college hoops later on the show as well. Plus our typical Monday shenanigans on the show. We've got What Is Wrong With You? We'll do Good, Bad, Ugly from the weekend that was. I hope I leave enough room. Sometimes I don't leave enough room for good, bad, ugly to really stretch my legs. But I hope we leave enough room for me to talk about Tony Romo. And I'm just going to give you a hint. He's not the good from the weekend that was. And he might not be the bad either. I haven't decided if I'm going to make him the bad or the ugly, but I don't have nice things to say about CBS's lead NFL analyst following his performance in the Bills-Jags game. So we'll get into that. We'll do good, bad, ugly. Like I mentioned, what is wrong with you? A lot of 580 Sports Talk headlines, as usual, to get to following the weekend as well. Plus, we want to hear from you. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. And you can also interact in the live chat on our YouTube stream. If you're watching the YouTube stream live today, from 3 to 6 Central, we stream every day live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Hop in that live chat. Say hello. Introduce yourself. Interact with the rest of the 580 Sports Talk community and your hosts as the show goes on. And we'll read some of those comments, throw them up on the screen. We'll have a good time with the YouTube chat, as we typically do. Who's in on the chat today? It is, looks like JB and Andrew, Vance, Mark H, Paul, all in the chat today. Appreciate everybody who has dialed in on the live chat already today, and look forward to hearing from some more of you. We are well over 900 subscribers now. As a reminder, next Tuesday, the 20th, we will do our heavily anticipated, that might be a stretch, but we're excited to do it. 580 Sports Talk Idol, your gift for getting us over 900 YouTube subscribers, reaching our stretch goal. 580 Sports Talk Idol. We're going to sing songs requested by you, the listener. And stay tuned for the 4 o'clock hour. I'm going to explain to you then how we will be taking listener submissions for songs to be performed during 580 Sports Talk Idol. We're going to explain how it's going to work. And then we're going to take your submissions, and we'll take them throughout the week. But I'll let you know how we are going to take those in an orderly fashion. Let's call it that, in an orderly fashion. So anyway, that's a long way of telling you welcome to the YouTube listeners, and go subscribe if you have not yet to the YouTube channel, because we're going to do something for 1,000 subscribers too. We got a ways to go. We're 94 out from that, but that's our next stretch goal. So get us one step closer today. If you have not already, go slam that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get into Wild Card Weekend, shall we? And it's interesting that usually we get some crummy football on Wild Card Weekend, and that has been sort of a and rite of passage isn't the turn of phrase I'm looking for, but it's been part of the rhythm of the opening weekend of the playoffs ever since the number 7 seed was added. Because the fact of the matter is, most years there aren't 7 playoff caliber teams in each conference. I think you can make the argument there aren't 7 playoff caliber teams in each conference this year. Would the NFC playoffs have suffered without the Carolina Panthers? Would the AFC playoffs be worse off without the Pittsburgh Steelers? I would say no. I would say that there are 6 teams that I would rate clearly ahead of those teams in both conferences. So what that's resulted in are some ugly round 1 games where the teams that don't belong in the playoffs get summarily run out of the building by the teams that do. Think about, for instance, what the Chiefs did to the Steelers when they were the 7th seed in Ben Roethlisberger's last season. Like, that game was gross, right? That game didn't need to happen. The Steelers that year did not need to be in the playoffs, and the Chiefs dispatched them without too much effort. But what have we been saying all year about the National Football League? That there's just not a lot of separation between the top of the league and the middle of the league. Let's call it. There's a lot of separation between the top and the bottom of the league. The bottom of the league this year is as bad as I can remember it being. But those 5, 6, 7 seeds, those 5, 6, 7th best teams in the conference, there's just not as much this year separating them from the teams who were the tops in their conference. And I think we saw that reflected over the weekend by how competitive all of these games were and how down to the wire 4 of them went. It was bad news if you led at the 2-minute warning, you were 2-3 this weekend. Teams leading at the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter, 2-3 this weekend of football. The Panthers more than held their own against the Los Angeles Rams in such a way that it made the Rams defense look extremely vulnerable. And of course, then the Rams had a special team screw up, which has kind of been their thing all year. But in the end, they still had, even with a wonky finger, they still had Matthew Stafford. And he made the drive, and he led the final drive to go win that football game. The Bears rallied from 21-3 down to beat the Packers. We'll have a lot more to say about that one. For everybody wondering how Packers part owner Brendan Dworzynski is doing today, he's all right. He's disappointed, but he's fine. He's well. He's ambulatory. I talked to him earlier today. He's off the show today, but he's okay. He lived through it. That was a tough one, but he made it. He's all right. Then, of course, yesterday you had the Bills rally to beat the Jaguars, thanks in large part to a 10-yard gain on a tush-push in the final minute or 2 minutes of the contest by the Bills. Set up their game-winning touchdown run by Josh Allen. Trevor Lawrence threw a deflected interception to end that game. The Eagles lose at home to an injury-riddled 49er team that now has lost George Kittle for not only the remainder of the playoffs, but in all likelihood, the entirety of the 2026 season due to a torn Achilles. Still in all, 49ers, they're tough as wet leather, and they found a way to win a playoff game and in advance and go into Philly and win. And then the night game last night, if you slept through that one, that was fine. The Patriots and the Chargers didn't exactly deliver the goods, or at least the dramatic finish in the way that the previous two games had, but Chargers are eliminated. The Patriots win that one fairly handily. And as always, it's about the quarterbacks. It's about the quarterbacks because we saw the two best quarterbacks in the field lead their team on the road in games where circumstances were not ideal, 2 game-winning touchdown drives. And that is what the great ones do. Like, this is the separator between the guys like Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford and the guys like Justin Herbert, where even if things aren't perfect, even if things aren't ideal, even if, in Josh Allen's case, you arguably don't have the better team in a given game, nobody cares. You got to go find a way to make it happen. Win or go home. Find a way. Matthew Stafford, bad finger and all, found a way. Put it on a dot to Colby Parkinson for the game-winning touchdown to beat Carolina. Josh Allen found a way. Beat to high heaven. He might be playing on a broken foot. He hit his hand on a helmet, and that certainly affected him. Tony Romo acted like he was going to die from it. We're going to take a lot of shots at Tony Romo today. I'm just going to just be prepared for that. But Josh Allen overcame some obvious physical discomfort and overcame the fact that his running game did not work, that his wide receivers are not good, that Jacksonville arguably was the better football team, and said, hey, none of that matters. I got to go make it happen. And he went and he made it happen. And that's why the Bills are moving on, and that's why the Jaguars are not. The big question for those guys is, are their bodies going to hold up for 3 more games? And I think that's a more germane question for Allen right now, given that he might be playing on a broken foot that we don't know about. Given that he tweaked his knee in that game rushing for the first of his touchdowns, given that he hit his hand on a helmet, and that generally isn't the kind of thing that just stops bothering you in a week. Matthew Stafford dealing with the same thing, by the way, going to Chicago next week. Are they going to hold up? Allen takes such a beating, and he's so important. You see in short yardage how important he is to that team. He's the short yardage weapon that keeps drives alive, that gives them a chance to score in the red zone, makes them almost impossible to stop in the red zone. Will that hold up? Can he hold up? Can he make it to the finish line? That's the only question. Because if you had any doubts about, Josh Allen, he's 0-4 on the road as a quarterback, and the Bills haven't won a playoff game on the road since 1992, all that history, all that adversity, everything against Josh Allen, but he's that guy. He's that guy. In a Mahomesless world, and that is one that we are living in right now in these playoffs. Feels like 1994 in the NBA's Eastern Conference, right? There's no Jordan. Jordan's playing baseball. The power vacuum exists. Who's going to go be that guy? And Josh Allen put a marker down yesterday afternoon. So that's the big question for those guys, Stafford and Allen. Are they going to hold up? Can they physically hold up? The young guns, Caleb Williams and Drake May. There are obvious weaknesses for those two players. Drake May has a problem taking care of the football, like when he is hit, when he is sacked. Strip sacks, kind of a problem for him all year. Sometimes you recover those, and boy, if his left guard hadn't recovered one late in the game, who knows how that game might have swung in the final 5 minutes or so. Caleb Williams is just inconsistent from down to down, inaccurate from down to down, but those guys are rare in their ability to make some of the plays that they make, particularly some of the off-platform throws that they make. That 4th and 8 completion from Caleb Williams on one of their late touchdown drives, preposterous. A jump throw off of one leg, right over the top and right into the bucket to a receiver on the money to convert 4th and 8 and really sustain the game. If they don't convert that, the game is over for all intents and purposes. So those guys clearly have, the ability is not in question. And now they have playoff wins. They have gone and they have won a playoff game. They have overcome their weaknesses, their own weaknesses, and found a way to get it done. And at least May at home against a team that was never going to score any points in the Chargers, Caleb Williams had to come back from 11 down in the 4th, from 18 down at the half, and he did it. That Bears team apparently thrives when they get down that big. Down 18, they got you where they want you. But will those weaknesses catch up with them as they play better teams? Because I don't think the Chargers were particularly good, were particularly well-equipped to take on the Patriots. And certainly the Packers, we can be honest about, we'll talk more about them a little later on, but we can also be honest that the Packers, they lost Micah Parsons. They didn't win another football game. They were 9-3-1, and they were leading the AFC's number 1 seed in their crib, and Micah Parsons got hurt, and they did not win another game after that. That mattered, especially when you do take an 18-point lead. That is the point at which you as a football team say, all right, now our pass rush brings us home from here. We're going to pin our ears back. We're going to get after their quarterback because we know they got to throw it and throw it and throw it, and that's how we're going to win this game. That's how we're going to finish this off. Well, Green Bay's pass rush tore up his knee in Denver a month ago. They didn't have anybody else who could do it. So still some proving it to do for Williams and May, but there's no denying that the skill set is upper crust. The ability to make plays when a play needs to be made, that's the stuff that makes quarterbacks special, and they've got it. They've got that ability. And so as not to leave short shrift to the other winning quarterback this weekend, Brock Purdy had the highest success rate of any of the winning quarterbacks this weekend. 53.7% success rate for Purdy on his pass attempts. Pretty good. A lot of that is Kyle Shanahan. And he threw 2 terrible interceptions that, against an offense with a clue, would have cost that team the game. But Purdy made it happen. Hung in there. Led the game-winning drive on the road against a defense that had been playing at a really high level. So give Purdy his flowers, too. Even if he was maybe less notable in his performance than the other 4 winning quarterbacks, he deserves some credit, too. As for the losing quarterbacks, give Bryce Young a little credit. Give him some flowers. He very nearly pulled off something nobody thought he was going to be able to pull off. Trevor Lawrence is not as good as Josh Allen. I think that was kind of reflected in the final drive of that football game, is that if you have a quarterback who is a Trevor Lawrence level quarterback and you go up against a team whose quarterback is a Josh Allen level quarterback, you're probably not going to win that game. That's how those things tend to go. There's no shame in that necessarily. It is what it is. That's the hierarchy of things as quarterbacks go. Jordan Love, I thought that the Packers loss was less about him than it was maybe about some of the coaching decisions in that game, and certainly the performance of kicker Brandon McManus. But Jordan Love was out there doing what Jordan Love usually does, throwing a lot of YOLO balls and hitting on a lot of them, but a lot of back foot, sideline, deep balls. When they come off, they look beautiful. When they don't come off, you have a problem. The other two quarterbacks that lost this weekend. I said it on Friday. I'll say it again. No more excuses for Justin Herbert. You have to go and find a way to win in the playoffs. If we're going to talk about Justin Herbert the way that the skill set suggests that we ought to talk about Justin Herbert, the way that the watch the film types suggest that we ought to talk about Justin Herbert, he's going to have to go out and do what Josh Allen just did, which is damn the physical constraints, damn the fact that I might not have the better team. I'm going to be the best player on the field and make the plays to go win the game. Because that's what the greats do. That's what the top upper crust, upper echelon quarterbacks do. And Justin Herbert has not proven that he, A, is in that class, certainly, but B, has it in him to get into that class of player. That never looked like a game where Justin Herbert was going to be able to elevate his team. And you could tell on the final drive of the game, final meaningful drive of the game, where the Chargers were down by 2 scores with 5 minutes left, and they were moving the ball down the field like they were down 1 score. Like they only needed 1. It was dink and dunk all the way down the field. And I don't know. You got a big-time quarterback with a big arm. You got to trust him to make some of those throws, right? He missed a lot of throws throughout the game. He wasn't real sharp. And they end the game, he scores 3 points, and now he's 0-3 in the playoffs. And so I'm done with the conversations about hypothetical Herbert. It's got to look like it could happen at this point, even if it hasn't. It should look like it could, and in the playoffs, it has not. It has not looked like it could happen. Justin Herbert has not been good. He played 1 good half of playoff football out of 6. Out of 6 career playoff halves, he had 1 good half. And then Jalen Hurts. And this is a very strange thing to say about a quarterback whose best career game was Super Bowl 57. And maybe his second best game of his career was Super Bowl 59, where he won the MVP. We have seen Jalen Hurts on the biggest stage against the best quarterback of his generation ball out and win a Super Bowl and very nearly snag another. At the same time, how convinced are you that Jalen Hurts is an additive quarterback? How convinced are you at this point that Jalen Hurts is the guy you win because of, and not a guy that you can win with if everything else works? Because right now he's feeling like a guy who, if you don't have a supercharged running game around him, he's not going to elevate your program. He's not going to get you to the finish line. And that is acknowledging that there is such a thing as being a playoff riser. Like sometimes the big moments bring the best out of guys. And we have seen big moments bring the very best out of Jalen Hurts. But that was a pretty big moment yesterday, home playoff game, and he did not play well. He did not play well. Some of that is the offensive coordinator. Some of that is A.J. Brown looks like he wants to kill everybody on the sideline at all times, and the vibes stink in Philadelphia, which is why they should fire their head coach, by the way. We'll get into that in the 4 o'clock hour, too. But, yeah, maybe Jalen Hurts he's not the guy you're going to win because of. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not being the guy you win because of, especially because he's got the ring to prove that you can win with him. But again, there's a big stark difference between those two tiers and categories of quarterbacks. And if you have the quarterback that you can win with, and you're paying him the kind of money that guys that you win because of make, that makes it really, really hard to win with them. And that might be where the Eagles have found themselves with Jalen Hurts. Want to hear your thoughts on the quarterbacks or everything else that went along for Wild Card Weekend? Want to hear from you on the text line, 785-272-9429, and, of course, in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame is going to join us, break it down here in a handful of minutes. More to come. We're just getting started on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. 3:33 on 580 Sports Talk. Let's go to the comments. First from the text line from the 785. McCaffrey and Purdy have my attention. I'll ride with them moving forward. Playoffs have proven entertained. Should be a good Super Bowl, whoever makes it. Agree with that texter from the 785. Look, you're going to have to make sure you kill the 49ers. They are hard to kill. They are tougher than wet leather. That's the good news for them. Here's the bad news for them. They play against the defense who did kill them 2 weeks ago in Santa Clara. And then they got to go see that defense again in Seattle this coming Saturday. And they're not going to have George Kittle. So they will have Trent Williams, which they did not have in Week 18. That matters, but like right now they can't, even with McCaffrey, run the ball. And they can't, I don't think, stop a really good offense. And the Seahawks offense is not really good by any stretch, but they can run it. And I think they're better right now than the Eagles offense. Obviously, you guys know I've got allegiances in that one. So I am biased. But I feel pretty good. As a Seahawks fan, I feel pretty good about that matchup. I rather them than the Rams in the divisional round. A lot of you hammering on Justin Herbert in the YouTube chat. Andrew says he's the second coming of Kirk Cousins. Absolutely not a top quarterback in the league. I think Herbert's better than Cousins, like more talented than Cousins. But again, we are talking about Justin Herbert. I forget who it was initially that called him Hypothetical Herbert. That's such a great nickname because hypothetically, but if only he was healthy. Oh, but if only his tackles were healthy. Oh, but if only he had a better coach. Well, now he's got Jim Harbaugh. Oh, but if only this. Oh, but if only that. Justin Herbert, you'd see how good he was. And then I just keep thinking about some of the rosters and some of the circumstances through which Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls. I watched him win with a terrible receiver core on a busted ankle one year. What's everyone else's excuse? And I get it. That's why he's Mahomes and nobody else is. But if you're truly going to be great, if you're going to be in the upper crust of quarterbacks, you've got to go win important games under difficult circumstances. Or no matter the circumstances, you have to go win those hard games. And Justin Herbert has not done that. And Josh Allen just went and did it, which I think that was the best win of his playoff career. Allen yesterday. Beat up, not moving great. Arguably had the worst team. Went out and did the thing. So, ton of credit for him. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We're going to still talk plenty about the wild card round. We're going to talk about which team should feel worse about losing their wild card round game. We'll get into some of the announcing. We'll get into some of the non-quarterback heroes from the weekend. We've also got some college football to get to on the show today, or college basketball to get to on the show. What is college football too? God, was that Friday? Oh, it was Friday night. Indiana, they turned Oregon into a grease stain. My goodness. We'll get into that in headlines. We got a lot of ground to cover on this show. But first, when we come back, Matt Verderame, our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated, joins us here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated. SI.com also has his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show, that you can check out, subscribe to for more great insider info. Matt, 5 games on Wild Card Weekend. We got 4 really good ones. I want to start with the game I thought was going to be the best of the weekend and ended up being just as good as I thought. Bills-Jaguars. Was that the best playoff performance given all of the stakes and all of what he had to overcome of Josh Allen's career?
No, I think the best game he ever played was the game that lost to Mahomes in 13 seconds.
Fair enough, yeah.
That game was I don't think I've ever seen a better quarterback game than those two guys that night. But I thought Allen in this game, look, he needed to drive them down the field twice in the fourth quarter. And with Cook bottled up, it's fair to say that the Bills have absolutely no weapons to scare you outside. I mean, it is just Allen, and if Cook's going good, Cook, and then kind of Shakir, and that's it. And so give Allen a lot of credit. Against good Jacksonville defense, got down the field twice, put it in the end zone twice, won the game. Look, there's a lot to, we could sit here and talk about that game for an hour. I thought Jacksonville did everything imaginable to lose that game the way they called plays. I thought Lawrence was bad for stretches. But in the final analysis, I think Josh Allen was the best player on the field. And it's the reason the Bills are still in and the Jags aren't.
Can he hold up for 3 more games? I mean, I think he is capable of being the best player on the field for 3 more games, but he took a pounding. The Bills are obviously going to ask him to run the ball more in the playoffs because for the same reason that Patrick Mahomes has scrambled more typically in the playoffs because that needs to be a part of their offense. Is this the kind of thing that feels sustainable for you for Buffalo, especially going up against a hard-hitting Denver defense on the road next week?
Yeah, it does because it's been what Allen's had to do for a few years now, but I would say this. Look, Jacksonville's a good team. Like, I picked Jacksonville to win that game. So I'm not going to be one of these people all of a sudden forgets Jacksonville's good. They are good. I don't think Jacksonville's as good as New England. I don't think Jacksonville's as good as Denver, even though I think Denver is limited with the quarterback. I think Seattle and the Rams are in a completely another tier than Jacksonville is, maybe even 2 tiers. Allen played about as well as he could play. That defense played about as well as it could play. And they barely won. Like that, not to throw any water on it, it'd be unfair to the Bills. But my concern is as far as couldn't they do this for 3 more games in a row? Yeah, they could. But they had to fight for their lives in that game. And, they were not playing a team that I think they're going to be facing each of the next 3 weeks should they keep advancing. So Allen's going to have to be even better, in my opinion, or Cook's going to have to go nuts. And against Denver, I don't think he's going nuts. I don't think he's going nuts against New England if they get there, or Houston. And I certainly don't think he's going against Seattle if they play them in the Super Bowl. So it's a lot. It's a lot to ask of that team to do this 3 more times in a row.
Matt Verderame is our NFL insider joining us here in the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline on 580 Sports Talk. Which building do you think it's less fun to be in on this Monday? Green Bay's or Philadelphia's?
It's like picking which funeral you want to go to.
Right.
I mean, look, I covered the Packers-Bears game. I was in the locker room after the game with the Packers. That was as quiet and as quickly departed as you'll ever see. I mean, I was in there for LaFleur's presser, Love's presser, and then we went in the locker room. There were 3 players left. I mean, I don't even know how they showered and got out that quickly. But, look, it was, quiet. Everybody was quiet, including the pressers. I mean, even those were subdued. It was – I would say that, look, it's probably more uncomfortable in Philadelphia just because of the nature of the city. But at least if you're Philadelphia, you're Sirianni. You're sitting there and you're looking at your Super Bowl ring. If you're LaFleur, you're sitting there going, I've been here 7 years, and half the city, if not more, wants me out of here. And it's a small town. Everybody knows you. And yet, okay, I might get an extension, but do people even want me to get an extension, right? And what is that going to look like going forward? Both are uncomfortable. Philly's probably more uncomfortable in the immediate. I think Green Bay, if they extend LaFleur, it sounds like they're planning on doing, look, something's going to have to change because the Packers have for years now had games like they had on Saturday night, and that's just it's unsustainable.
The argument to do something different just because it feels like you need to do something different can be a very compelling one. Obviously, that argument won over in Baltimore. That's why John Harbaugh's not there anymore.
Right.
And you can make that argument, I think, right now in Green Bay. But I think you can also look at the Green Bay situation and say, Tucker Kraft was their best pass-catching weapon. He was lost for the year. Micah Parsons was their pass rush, and he was lost for the year. Is it a more compelling argument to say, let's run this back with Kraft and Parsons next year and maybe be the Super Bowl contender that they looked like they were right up until really Parsons got hurt and then they didn't win another game after that?
Maybe. You could argue it. I mean, look, I've always been a LaFleur fan. I think he's a good coach. And I think over the years, look, he had the tail end of Rodgers' career, and he's at the beginning of Love's. And that's kind of a tricky spot. They've never had a true number one receiver. They've never, up until they got Parsons, had a true, just dominant defensive player. They were in the mix, and then all of a sudden the injuries really did take their toll. But, I mean, I will say this. The Packers have to figure out, and there's been a couple of years now that this happened. Why do they lose games they shouldn't lose? Why does that happen all the time? Because, you know, look, they lost that second Bears game with Malik Willis. I get it. Willis is in the game. They should never have lost that game. You cannot lose that game. You cannot lose the playoff game I just covered. I was there. That game was ridiculous. You can't lose that. 25 points in the fourth quarter. Like, that just can't happen. So I do think there's kind of two things can be true at once still that. LaFleur's got to get right with some of this stuff. After the game, he was talking to all of us about, hey, you know, we just didn't make the adjustments, and, you know, we've got to grow up a little bit. It's like, well, it's on you. You're the coach. Like, you've got to make that happen. But I also do think it is true that, look, the Packers were missing their best players in that game. And, you know, I think it was more the way they lost that game than the fact that they lost the game.
Our guest is our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Joins us every Monday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Do you feel better, worse, or about the same about the Rams after they had their hands full with the Panthers on Saturday afternoon? Or do you chalk that up to a Panther team playing at home, nothing to lose, and doesn't really change your broader perspective on how good the Rams are?
Yeah, but the same. I don't feel any differently. Like, I think in the playoffs, a lot of times we fall victim to this idea that, like, oh, a team looks like one thing one week, so they're going to look like that the next week. And the playoffs have shown us relentlessly, repeatedly, it's not true. That just doesn't happen. Like, every game in the playoffs is its own event. It just is. And I think the Panthers game was a game that, look, the Rams, I think early on, they looked like they were going to blow them out. They kind of let their foot off the gas. The Panthers got back in it. They're at home. And I do think sometimes in the playoffs, those teams that have nothing to lose are always seemingly dangerous. You just, especially when they're at home. You know, sometimes, okay, you get a team on the road, like last year, Denver in the wild card, you knew they were going to get killed. Like, these weren't good enough. But a team like the Panthers, a team like that, I'll give you the team this week, ironically, same team they're playing it, is the Bears. Nobody thinks the Bears are going to win this game. That is a weird, like, if you're the Rams, now, it's a lesser, obviously, this Carolina game, but, like, the Rams are 4.5-point favorite in this game. There is going to be an atmosphere in Chicago for that game on Sunday that's like, hey, no one thinks we can win this game. No one thinks we're going to. That is a powerful thing that can kind of snowball as the game goes on. So, look, I still think the Rams and the Seahawks are the two best teams in the league. I don't even think it's close. But I think, you know, the Rams are in a tricky spot just based on the fact they've got to go on the road against the teams that don't have a whole hell of a lot to lose.
How about New England? That's a similar question I have for you about New England, because they beat the Chargers and they kind of handled the Chargers physically in a way that you would have expected a team to handle the Chargers given all their injuries to the offensive line. Drake May wasn't great, turned the ball over a couple of times, but also made some big time throws. Right. Do you feel any differently about New England moving forward? Did they show you anything in that game that suggests that, all right, maybe we got to take them a little bit more seriously as a home team against either Pittsburgh or Houston next week?
I mean, you're talking to somebody. I'm picking New England to go to the Super Bowl. So I think highly of them. Listen, one thing about New England that impressed me last night, okay, that offense was pitiful in the first half. Drake May, 6 of 15, throws the pick. They're not playing well. That is a game that a lot of times a young team in the playoffs, they start to turtle and they get nervous and they get tight. And I was impressed by the fact that Pats came out in the second half of that game and just beat the crap out of the Chargers. I mean, physically on the scoreboard, like they only scored 10 points in May in the second half with something like 11-14, like $1.67. I mean, he played really well. They ran the ball effectively at times. The defense was all over Herbert, who, listen, let's be real. Herbert, we're starting to get to a point here where he's got to win one of these games. He's got to do something. He is awful in the playoffs. I know his line wasn't good, but even when his line held up, he was bad. He missed a ton of throws. But I think for New England, I think they should beat no matter who they get. I think they should beat whoever they get next weekend. And if they play in Denver, that's obviously a tough place to play, and it's a bad matchup for their offensive line. If they play at home against Buffalo, kind of what we just talked about, right? Like a lot of people are going to think the Bills are going to win that game. And I think New England, that's not a bad spot for New England. I actually would like them in the game. I think New England showed you a lot in the second half of that football game last night.
We're going to get a rematch of a Week 18 game between the 49ers and the Seahawks on Saturday. Game will be in Seattle. Week 18, they played in Santa Clara. Seattle beat up San Francisco for 60 minutes. Niners didn't have Trent Williams in that game. They should on Saturday. They will not have George Kittle. Do you give San Francisco a much better chance to do enough on offense, second time in 3 weeks, having to go to Seattle against that Seahawk defense?
Of all the games this weekend, this is the one I cannot see the Niners winning this game. And I picked the Niners to beat the Eagles. So it's not like I'm a Niners hater or anything like that. Kittle being out, I just think if you're Mike McDonald, you go into this thing and say, listen, McCaffrey's not beating us. He's not beating us. Just like in Week 18. Like, we're taking him out of the game, and we're going to make everybody else do it. We're going to make the former Chiefs do it with DeMarcus Robinson, Sky Moore, and Tunges, and everybody. Like, go ahead, beat me, man. Go do it. I don't care. We're going to get man coverage. There's nothing you're doing about it. The one thing I would say in this game, if I'm Seattle, I am telling the guys all week, look, you have to prepare for the unexpected in this game. Fake punts, fake field goals, like any kind of exotic look defensively from Salah, because the Niners are a wounded animal in this game. They just don't have enough. Like, if Seattle plays well, this game's over. Seattle cannot make big mistakes. They can't allow an easy, long touchdown. They can't. Darnold can't have one of these games where he throws 2 mind-numbing picks. Like, if I'm the Seahawks, I'm playing this game safe, close to the vest. I'm making the Niners drive the length. Like, if it's 4th and 2, it means I'm punting. Go ahead, go 90 yards. Go do it. I think as long as Seattle plays smart, I think they'll win the game.
Couple more quick ones for our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, we got one more wild card game this weekend. It's tonight. It's the Texans and the Steelers. What do you think is the deciding factor in this matchup between these two teams?
Pittsburgh's going to have to create yards after the catch. Look, if nobody gets rid of the ball quicker statistically than Rodgers does. He has thrown more passes under 2.5 seconds to anybody in the league. The Texans, as great as their pass rush is, they don't have a single sack in under 2.5 seconds. That ball's coming out. Like, they are not going to get a ton of sacks in this game unless something weird happens. But with the ball coming out that quickly and Rodgers having the smallest A-dot in the league, the lowest A-dot in the league, if the Texans can rally and tackle, the Steelers are going to be stuck in mud all night long. If they can find some yards after the catch, that's where this could become interesting.
And lastly, we mentioned it earlier, John Harbaugh is a coaching free agent, no longer the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens after 18 seasons there. What do you think, what job is the best fit for John Harbaugh? Not whether or not he'll take it, not really certain how that will look now, but what open job do you think is the best fit for him?
The Giants. I think his mentality, his personality fits New York. I think if you're him, you've got a really good front four. You've got a franchise left tackle. You've got a good young quarterback. You've got a really, really nice 1-2 punch with Robinson and Neighbors, assuming they keep Robinson a receiver. You got Scadaboo in the backfield with Tyrone Tracy. Like, that's a team. That's a real starting point. And that's a division, by the way. It's not overwhelming. So if I'm Harbaugh, that's where I'd go to the Giants.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also has his subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show, that will give you great inside information and content as well. He joins us every Monday here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, enjoy the final game of Wild Card Weekend tonight, and we will talk to you. We're off Monday. How about next Tuesday? How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks so much, Matt. We appreciate you. That is Matt Verderame. We will take a timeout, come back with the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was to wrap up this first hour on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. The good, the bad, the ugly from the sports weekend that was. I'll start with the good that might have been a little bit off your radar, but there is no sporting competition in the world like the FA Cup in English soccer, because in the early stages of the competition, it's open to everybody, which means you can get a matchup like Crystal Palace, who is in the English Premier League, the highest tier of English soccer, and in fact, the previous winners of the FA Cup, taking on Macclesfield FC from the 6th tier of English soccer, non-league, as in all those guys have jobs that aren't soccer players. Soccer players, something they do in their free time for funsies. Macclesfield 2, Crystal Palace 1 on Saturday, a non-league team beating a Premier League team. Remarkable. It'd be like your beer league hockey team beating the New York Islanders. Remarkable stuff. My bad. We're not having a lot of fun around here with the local teams right now, are we? When was the last time we had fun? The Chiefs missed the playoffs. Royals missed the playoffs for that. Football season went real great. Now basketball season. KU and K-State. Season's on the brink already. That stinks. That's not fun. Hopefully that turns around. And the ugly was Tony Romo. Every single play of the Bills-Jaguars game was, well, this is where Josh Allen, this is where he needs to be Superman, Jim. This is where he needs to put the cape on, Jim. It's like, it's 1st and 10. We're in the second quarter, man. Give it a rest. Romo went from like most enjoyable in the business to totally insufferable so fast. I almost can't deal with him anymore. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, more NFL playoff talk plus some college hoops on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Now, number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Hope everybody out there had an outstanding weekend. Your reward for almost making it through a Monday. We got 2 more hours of sports talk coming your way here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and, of course, on our live video streaming channels, Facebook at WIBW News and YouTube on our channel 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock. Then we'll pass the baton to the K-State Sports Network from Learfield for an edition of the Jeff Mittie Show. Hear from the head coach of the Kansas State women's basketball team. Then at 7 o'clock, it's over to Westwood One's coverage of the finale of Wild Card Weekend, the final wild card playoff game between the Steelers and the Texans. Pre-game coverage will pick up at 7 o'clock ahead of kickoff of tonight's game. You'll be able to catch all the action here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. In the meantime, in these final 2 hours, we're going to get to some college hoops a little bit later on this hour. We'll narrow into some local sports and 2 very similar feeling losses for KU and K-State, given how the games unfolded and the problem that both teams are having right now that is sending their season to an early crisis point. K-State's in a bit of a bigger crisis, being one of only 2 0-3 teams in Big 12 play. And as Bill Self himself put it after the loss to West Virginia in Morgantown on Saturday, well, they suck right now, but it's right now. His words, not mine, but it is. It's just a right now thing, but these are the problems, and it's a similar problem. One big problem, pun absolutely intended, we'll get there, as to what is plaguing both the Jayhawks and the Wildcats. So we'll get into some of that later on in the show. We got headlines, obviously lots of headlines coming out of the weekend. We'll look ahead to Texans Steelers tonight, and obviously a lot more NFL Wild Card Weekend talk. I didn't ask you this, Spencer, on Friday, a chance to, but I was talking about this on Friday's show. I don't yet feel the absence of the Chiefs in the playoffs because so often they were not playing on Wild Card Weekend anyway. So Wild Card Weekend was just, hey, there are these games, and I'm going to watch all these games. And then, then the next weekend, the Chiefs will be on. And so this weekend didn't feel any different not having the Chiefs in the playoffs. I suspect this coming weekend is where I'm going to feel a little bit the absence of a Chiefs game to watch. What was your perspective on watching Wild Card Week? Because you've been doing this here a little less longer than I have. But did you feel the absence of the Chiefs either way this weekend?
Yeah, I think it was in the commentary in the games. That's where I felt it. Was not, this team is going to go face the Chiefs at home, the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're on the road next week in Kansas City, or
talking about the AFC teams in the context of what are they going to have to do to get through Mahomes.
Yes, and then specifically, I think during the Bills game, it was said like there's no Mahomes to go through for Josh Allen this year.
Yes, I think Tony Romo said that roughly 276 times. After which he would always say, Jim, this is the time he's got to put on his cape. This is where he's got to be Superman right here. Like, I think he is still saying that. Like, Josh Allen woke up to go put on a pot of coffee for him and his pregnant wife. And Tony Romo saying, this is where Josh Allen's got to be Superman. He's got to do it right here. This is what it's all about for Josh Allen. I thought Romo was so bad.
He was glossing. He was glossing Allen like he glosses Mahomes because he's got nobody else to gloss.
I think the term you're looking for is glaze.
Glaze, yes.
Yeah, you're looking for glaze. Yeah.
Yes.
There was kind of gross if you give it any real deep thought. But anyway, yeah, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that happening on that broadcast. Great game otherwise, but yeah, a lot of that happening.
That's where I felt like listening to the games and talking about what's next, or I think even in an NFC game, they talked about not having to face potentially a Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it feels like, and I'm not the only one.
Like it's storylines that I'm missing that where you hear it, not like, oh, well, they normally in playoffs wouldn't have played this weekend. So what's the difference?
I am not the only one to make this observation, but this feels like, and you were not alive for this, but this feels like watching the Eastern Conference NBA playoffs in 1994 and 1995. Like, 1994 specifically, because there's no Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan's playing baseball.
I will say,
who is Patrick Ewing and who is Shaq? Like that's I guess that's what we're going to find out here in the next couple of weeks.
I will say I turned off last night's game because YouTube TV was having some big buffering problems with NBC. Brendan texted him about it last night too.
I watched the whole game on Peacock. It looked great.
Besides that game, this was a great wild card weekend of games coming down to the wire. The team, I mean, if it wasn't for the 49ers, I think the other 3 games that had happened, the team leading in 2 minutes to go lost the game.
Yeah.
Like, that's how playoffs are supposed to be.
You were 0-3, or you were 2-3, and 0-3 in the first 3 games if you had the lead at the 2-minute warning. And the other thing I really enjoyed about it, the quarterbacks were all hooping. Like, it wasn't just like good quarterback play. These quarterbacks were making big time throws, like deep throws.
Except Justin Herbert.
Not Justin Herbert. Yeah, not Jalen Hurts. Like, not all of them. But like the caliber of quarterback play, even though Lawrence wasn't great, he's still making some big time throws. Josh Allen's making some big time throws. Williams and Love were hooping on Saturday. And I watched that and I couldn't help but feel a little bit like I've been robbed of getting to watch Patrick Mahomes do those kinds of things. And I don't mean in the sense that, well, he's hurt and he didn't get to play the final 2 games. I just mean like the last 2 seasons, the Chiefs offense hasn't looked like that.
Yeah.
Like Caleb Williams and Drake May, too, last night are making these off-platform throws. Everybody's losing their mind. Oh, man, Caleb Williams, that 4th and 8 throw where he's off a one-leg jump throw in the bucket over the top of the defense to a receiver in stride to keep that drive alive. Everybody's talking about that throw like Mahomes isn't the OG of those kinds of plays. And we've all forgotten because for the last 3 years, we've watched him RPO teams and throw slants to tiny wide receivers.
Exactly.
And it just made me upset. Like, can we please get Mahomes back to where he's making these kinds of throws in playoff games?
Yeah.
I just want to see a Chiefs offense that looks like those offenses. That's what I want to see. I want to see a Chiefs offense that resembles a Ben Johnson offense. I want to see a Chiefs offense with receivers like what the Jaguars have, because the Jaguars have better wide receivers than the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got now I'm forgetting his name. The guy from the Raiders, Jacoby Myers completely changed their wide receiver group. The last year they tried to sign De'Ami Brown, who had a good season.
So they did sign De'Ami Brown.
They did
1 year, $10 million. And he doesn't play.
That's what I'm saying. He had a good season last year. And look at him this year. I think it's crazy.
He got benched for Parker Washington.
Do you want to see AJ Brown in a Chiefs jersey next year? Because it sure sounds like he's not going to be, or looks like he won't be in an Eagles uniform.
I want to talk about the Eagles and AJ Brown and their vibes here in just a little bit. We're going to talk some more playoff football here. We want to hear from you on the text line, and on the YouTube comments as well. The text line 785-272-9429. Also the YouTube live chat if you are watching the program live on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. Mark H asks a very important question in the YouTube comments before we get back into football. This is a very important question from Mark. The Olympics are coming up. Does that mean that we bring back the Olympic Roundup, or is that just for the Summer Olympics? Mark, we are absolutely bringing back the playoff roundup for the Winter Olympics. The Olympic Roundup.
The Olympic Roundup.
The theme song and everything. We are bringing the Olympic Roundup back, and we're bringing it back so strongly. We're bringing it back in a way that it's frankly never been brought back before. We're bringing back the Olympic Roundup for the Winter Games in a month. Less than a month.
Well, it's never been brought back before because last time was the first one.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to quibble. But anyway, yes, thank you for asking that, Mark H. Can confirm the Olympic Roundup is coming back. And speaking of us singing, next Tuesday on 580 Sports Talk, because 900 of you, now 906, last check, decided to subscribe to the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel, we are going to deliver on our promise to perform 580 Sports Talk Idol. Myself and Spencer and Brendan Dorzinski will all be in the building. We are all going to sing. We will all sing a song. We will let the audience decide who sang it best. And then the losing two are going to duet together. That is how we're going to do this. But we need your help to pick the songs. So throughout the week here on 580 Sports Talk, the text line 785-272-9429, and in the YouTube chat or the comments, if you catch us late and the live chat isn't open, but you want to drop suggestions in the comments, leave your suggestions for songs that we should sing, and we will literally draw them out of a hat for 580 Sports Talk Idol. So throughout the show, anytime, hit us on the text line, 785-272-9429, or in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Or in the comments on Facebook, WIBW News, just wherever you can get a hold of us. Let us know what song you might want to hear us sing. And it might be your song that gets suggested. And yes, submit possible duets for the quote-unquote losers. Because let's be honest, everybody who has to hear us sing, we're all losers next Tuesday on 580 Sports Talk. But submit your duets, submit the songs you want to hear us sing. We will collect them, and then on Friday, we will draw them. We'll all be together Friday. We will, on Friday, determine which song it is going to be, which will give us the weekend, a long weekend, holiday weekend, to practice, theoretically speaking. So that's how we're going to do it. Submit your songs, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, text line 785-272-9429. As predicted, the first suggestion on the text line is, in fact, For My Maria by Brooks and Dunn.
It's also all over our YouTube comments page.
Yes, it is. Now, I can't tell you how many songs to submit. You can submit an unlimited amount of songs, but just make it very clear the title and the artist, so that if we do indeed choose your song, we don't have to go rummaging too far to find it. And of course, it will help if said songs are in fact radio and karaoke friendly. Anyway, that's how we're doing that. Let's get back into the football, shall we? There are 5 teams who have been eliminated from the playoffs. There will be one more tonight after the Texans and the Steelers. In order was the Panthers, the Packers, the Jaguars, the Eagles, and the Chargers eliminated from the playoffs. I don't think the Panthers feel real bad about being eliminated. I think they were very much happy to be there and honestly acquitted themselves a lot better than most thought they would. They were 10.5-point underdogs at home, and they led that game inside the 2-minute warning. Matthew Stafford had to lead the game-winning drive there for the Rams. I thought they acquitted themselves very well. I thought Bryce Young showed the moment wasn't too big for him, and I think that bodes well for the Panthers moving forward. They need more. Like, they're not close to being a contender, but I think they're close to being the best team in the NFC South, and when you get there, then you start making the playoffs every year, and then you can start thinking about the steps you need to take to be a contender. So the Panthers, I think, feel okay today. I don't think that's a sad building to be in today. I think that's a building where things are all right. I think with the Jags, I think it's a very simple equation. I think it's the same equation as the last time they were in the playoffs and they lost their divisional round game in Kansas City. Trevor Lawrence had a nice year this year, probably the best year of his NFL career. Did some good things in Liam Cohen's offense. They've got a wide receiver core and a running game that makes some sense. I think the Jags are gonna be tough to deal with these next couple of years. But Trevor Lawrence is your quarterback. You're not beating a tier 1 quarterback in a playoff game. They weren't going to beat Patrick Mahomes 3 years ago, and they weren't going to beat Josh Allen yesterday. And they could have. Honestly, they could have if they would have taken more of the game out of Trevor Lawrence's hands, just run the ball. What, they averaged 8 yards a carry for a stretch of that game and just wouldn't run the ball in the second half? That's Liam Cohen has to be frustrated today that he didn't stick more to his guns on the running game, because that's how you beat Buffalo.
Well, shout out to the rush defense for the Jags, because they only allowed James Cook 46 yards.
Yes, and that's what, to me, that's what makes Josh Allen's performance in that game all the more impressive, because they took James Cook out of the equation. There was no balance. It was going to be, Josh Allen's going to beat us. We're not going to let James Cook beat us. And Josh Allen said, all right, bet. My left knee's on fire, and I hurt my hand on a teammate's helmet, and also I might have a broken foot that I'm not telling anybody about, but I'm going to go do it. Yeah, and no excuses. That's what it is for Josh Allen, and that's what it was on Sunday afternoon. But I think if you're the Jags, that's what it was. Like, you did a lot of things well. Probably should have run the ball a little more. But at the end of the day, their guy was better than your guy. And it's cold comfort, but it's comfort all the same. The Chargers, not the fact that they lost, because they were the 7th seed going on the road to play the 2 seed. I don't think that they lost is what's bothering them today. But they were so uninspiring on offense. And Justin Herbert was not good.
He only had 12 incompletions, but it felt like he had 30.
And because a lot of them were like down the field shots where he had guys. Like he missed that throw to Ladd McConkey. Was that third quarter, early third? It was a scramble drill. He had McConkey down the sideline. He underthrew him, and that allowed Marcus Jones to get back and make a play. He missed a couple of other shots in that game that could have maybe flipped the script because the Charger defense did their job. Charger defense turned Drake May over twice, including once inside the 10. That was a spot where maybe the Chargers just should have kicked the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was 6-3 at halftime and 9-3 at the end of the third. Like, it was there. They could, if they had a drive or two out of nowhere, they could have won that game, but they didn't. They didn't have any really. They had one drive where they went down the field and they kicked a field goal. Well, I guess one where they turned it over.
Yeah. So I think that they've got to be really frustrated offensively, but I think also there are limits to how good you're going to be in a Greg Roman offense. And there clearly Justin Herbert in the playoffs is not a good mix.
Tim Tebow has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert.
Oh, man, there's such a funny list out there of quarterbacks with one playoff win, like Brock Osweiler, Bubby Brister has a playoff win. It's a really funny list of guys who have more playoff wins than hypothetical Herbert, which I'm going to start using that as his nickname now.
Yeah.
I forget who coined that, but it's really good. It's good. I think it really, really applies now because it's always, and again, the excuses started for him in following that game. Well, the offensive line was this, and he got hit a bunch, and Omarion Hampton was out, and all of this. Nobody cares. Go win the game. If you're that guy, you go and you figure it out. And if you're not that guy, you don't. And I think it's that simple with Herbert right now. He just hasn't shown that he's that guy. So that leaves two teams. And I asked Matt Verderame in the 3 o'clock hour, in case you missed that conversation, what building is it less fun to be in today, Green Bay or Philadelphia? And Matt said, that's like asking me which funeral I'd rather be at. So for Green Bay, that's a choke job. And it's a choke job against your blood rival. And you can't lose. You can't give up 25 in the fourth quarter. I don't care who you're playing, where you're playing. You can't give up 25 in the fourth quarter. You can't blow a 21-3 lead. I thought Matt LaFleur turtled for a quarter and a half, thought 21 was going to be enough, and their offense just absolutely went into a hole for a quarter and a half. And then when they had to try and get out of it, they put that touchdown drive together, the Matthew Golden touchdown that gave them an 11-point lead. But then the Bears score, they cut it close, and then the 4-minute drill drive for the Packers was just unintelligent. Like Romeo Doubs going out of bounds after the big catch, and another sideline throw that went out of bounds, and more deep shots after that instead of being – that was the time to be conservative. That was the time to turtle up and not take shots and run the clock. The clock was more important than the points. And they didn't run enough time off the clock. They missed the field goal, and they end up losing the game. It was a bad performance. I know there's an argument, a compelling one, I think, to say that, okay, it's a little stale in Green Bay. They're not accomplishing anything with Matt LaFleur as their head coach. Maybe they need to make a change for the sake of making a change. I think the counter argument, though, is more compelling. This is a Packer team that lost their best skill player, Tucker Kraft, to an ACL, and their best defensive player, and one of the best in the league, Micah Parsons, to an ACL. They were 9-3-1 and leading the Broncos in Denver when Parsons got hurt. They did not win another game the rest of the season. I think you can look at, they didn't have the personnel and they didn't have the kicker. At the end of the day, they trusted Brandon McManus. That was stupid. That's on Brian Gutekunst for not realizing that was going to be a bad idea. But for me,
I also feel like McManus has been an issue when he's been on the field this season. Like, he's not been good.
No.
And all season, when he's been healthy, because I know he wasn't healthy for part of the season, he's just not been good anymore. Like, he reached his lifespan as a kicker, it felt like.
So he misses those 3 kicks. I don't think you fire a coach because their kicker can't, and because your best guys are not on the field. I think that, and you could make the point, well, Tyler Loop makes that kick in week 18. John Harbaugh still have his job in Baltimore? Maybe, but that was 18 years and a lot of underachieving. This is only 7 years for Matt LaFleur. I think Jordan Love is good. I think that they've still got some foundational things to build on. I think you can run that back. I think you can run it back in Green Bay with LaFleur. I in the immediate aftermath, that felt like such a calamity. I was thinking, man, they could fire everybody, and that would make sense. But I think you run it back with LaFleur. I think you can live with it.
Well, it sure looks like they're going to run it back in some more. That's the reporting today from Schefter.
They're talking about, because LaFleur's going into the final year of his contract.
Yeah.
So they've got to find a way to get him under contract. Otherwise, he goes into next year as a lame duck, and that doesn't work for anybody. I don't think you can run it back in Philadelphia. And I don't just mean offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo. I think they need to fire Nick Sirianni. And I'm going to make the argument they need to fire Nick Sirianni.
So he wins the Super Bowl and he doesn't have a leash?
This is my question about Nick Sirianni.
Oh, I don't like Nick Sirianni. I was playing devil's advocate.
No, I understand. But this is the conversation we're going to have here. This is my question about Nick Sirianni. What does he do? Because if you're a head coach, I was having this conversation with former producer 580 Sports Talk, Britt Z, off the air earlier today. If you're a head coach of an NFL team, you're one of two things, right? Either you're the scheme guy and you install something on one side of the ball or the other, right? You're either the offensive guy, like, Kyle Shanahan, Sean Payton, or you're the defensive head coach, like Mike McDonald in Seattle. But you're the scheme guy. You're hired to implement a way of playing, a style of play. Or you are the CEO, right? You're Dan Campbell, where your job is to set the culture. Your job is to set the expectations. Your job is to be the square-jawed leader of men, and you hire good people around you to implement your vision of what your football team ought to look like. So those are the two ways you can be a head coach in today's NFL. Well, Sirianni's not a scheme guy. Even though he came in as an offensive coordinator from Indianapolis, it's not his scheme. He keeps hiring offensive coordinators, and two of the last three he's hired have been total duds, including Patullo. So it's not scheme. So then, he's the leader of men. He's the guy who hires good people. Well, again, two of his last three offensive coordinator hires have been terrible, and the vibes on that sideline are rancid. Nobody looks like they're having any fun. Sirianni himself looks like he's hair trigger, about to blow up any given moment. So for me, I don't see enough upside with Sirianni. I know he's been to 2 Super Bowls and he's won 1. And it is a vanishingly small list of coaches in the history of the league who've accomplished that. At the same time, I think he's by far the worst coach to have ever done that. And I don't think there's a close second. And for me, in Philadelphia, if he's not the scheme guy and the culture he's setting is that toxic, then why are you here?
Oh, yeah. I would tend to agree with you there. And I think the biggest point is, yes, you lost your offensive coordinator last year. You won a Super Bowl. You lost your offensive coordinator. But was the Super Bowl worth it knowing that was going to happen? Like,
Super Bowl's always worth it.
I know,
right?
But like for your franchise, because you had just the franchise just recently won one. You've gone through 3 offensive coordinators in 3 seasons, right?
Right.
You knew hiring what's his face last year that he was going to become a head coach. Kellen Moore, and that he became a head coach. You have to have somebody there that you trust. And it's obviously not the guy that they have now.
And you would think it would be like, okay, well, Sirianni was an offensive coordinator. Why didn't he just call the plays?
Exactly.
Or do something like that? But if he's not going to be the scheme guy, okay, that's fine. You don't have to be the scheme guy to be a good head coach. Dan Campbell has had a lot of success as not the scheme guy. He's the leader of men. But if you're going to be the leader of men, your locker room ought to function. And that locker room doesn't function. A.J. Brown looks like he is going to snap and kill a staffer, somebody, whoever gets in his way, every single game. And that has festered. That festered all season. There was never an opportunity where Sirianni stepped in to nip that in the bud.
Yeah.
That reflects poorly on him and his leadership. And when we have seen in the past the way that he is, let's just say, conducted himself in a way with opposing fans that isn't exactly becoming of a head coach. To me, that's not a guy I want as my head coach. And I think I think you need to hit a hard reset in Philadelphia. I know it feels like a crazy thing to say a year removed from they're still the reigning Super Bowl champions as we say this, but I just don't understand what it is that Sirianni does there.
Well, I think you're hurting you're not the, I will say about 3 years ago, I thought Jalen Hurts had a higher trajectory as a player, as a person.
Coming out of Super Bowl 57 with the best game of his career, I would have thought the same thing. I was okay, this guy's been to a Super Bowl and he proved that the lights weren't too bright. He did it on the biggest stage. He just went and did it again last year on the biggest stage. But game over game in the regular season, he is not a guy that elevates you. And he is not the guy that you win because of. He's the guy you win with.
And I think that partially is because he clearly has had so many different people in his ear trying to do so many different things when Sirianni could just take control, and he doesn't.
No, I think that's a good point. I think that's another point in favor of the Eagles doing something differently. And I don't think their fans would complain a whole lot about that either. We'll take a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we're going to do What Is Wrong With You, our first round of What Is Wrong With You of the week. Then we're going to get into some college hoops. Rough weekend for KU and K-State. We'll get there next. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. It's time for What Is Wrong With You, our first round of the week. Two new stories today competing to take the first mantle of our weekly championship, and both of these are Florida stories today. I'll go first. Mine's actually, we don't know if these people are Floridians necessarily, but this story does occur in the Miami airport where two women were pulled off of an American Airlines flight because they sat in first-class seats in which they did not belong. So I don't know if you know this, but a lot of airlines, not the one I fly most commonly, although it sounds like Southwest is going to do the assigned seat thing moving forward.
That's starting here in like a week and a half.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's what I saw when I was booking my flights for when I went home.
But here's the way this typically works. So there's a flight manifest. They're sticklers for you sit in the seat that you bought.
Yeah.
Like for real good reasons on the flight manifest. You sit in the seat that you bought. particularly if you're a coach passenger and you're trying to sit in first class. And these two women thought, oh, yeah, we're just going to post up in first class. I guarantee you they were flicking it up on the gram. First class living, hashtag first class. Like, I guarantee you they were making TikToks, the whole thing. And they were asked to leave their seats, and they did not leave their seats. So they were escorted off the plane in handcuffs. It only delayed the flight an hour and 6 minutes, which is pretty remarkable. That's a crack job done by the security, by everybody at the Miami International Airport to get these people off the plane and get that plane in the air. But it was the only flight that was delayed at the Miami airport in the weekend. It was American Airlines 1816 from Miami to Phoenix, and none of the other flights were off schedule at all. So shout out to the crack staff at Miami International. But that's the extent of the story. Two women sat down in first class, thought that would be fine, and it was not fine, and they refused to go back to their other seats. So then they were upgraded to seats in the back of a police car.
It's the refusal part. Like, come on.
Yeah, be an adult.
Like, hey, let's do this. It's kind of like at a game, right? Like, hey, I'm spying those seats. Nobody's taking them, and then it's like.
That's different because you should be allowed. Like if it's the fourth inning and nobody's come sat in those premium dugout seats, you should be able to go sit in those seats. I think
it makes for a better TV product.
Oh, it absolutely does. You know where they're real sticklers about who gets to go down even into the lower level at all. Coors Field in Denver. Man, those 80-year-old ushers do not play. If they see you trying to sneak down, they will move like Usain Bolt on you and ask to see your ticket stub. It is unbelievable. Like, I think the third inning is a cut. If you're not in the ball game by the third inning and it's not like a sellout, like a holiday sellout where there's known that there's traffic or issues, if you're not in your seat by the third inning, you're not using that seat. Come on, man. If you weren't in that seat for like an inning, because it's one thing, like, okay, yeah, you got kids. You go, you sit in the seat first inning, then the kids want to go and they want to play like at the K. They want to go play at the ballpark or play the games or whatever. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Get them out of their seat. But like third, fourth inning, and you haven't been there at all, man. Yeah, it's open season. Anyway,
the first hockey game I went to in 2006, Capitals bad rebuilding, right? Ovechkin was like the guy. Backstrom was just drafted and whatever. We had like nosebleed seats, pointed down, looked in an area. Second intermission was ending. Went down and watched
going to the third? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we did that. Now you can't do that, though, because back in 2006, there weren't as many ushers around.
I did get down one time, like 3 rows behind home plate at Coors Field. It was a Cubs-Rockies game in 2003, and it was the sixth inning. It was already 15-1 Cubs, and the crowd had mostly cleared out. My buddy and I were able to get around the ushers. And we sat for about a half inning behind the plate, and we watched the future of pitching, Mark Pryor. And we said, we're going to tell our kids one day that we saw future Hall of Famer Mark Pryor from up close. And future Hall of Famer Sammy Sosa hit 3 home runs that day. And, life's a funny thing. Anyway, what is your story today?
Yeah, we're going to go to West Palm Beach, Florida. A 6-figure Florida lottery claim quickly unraveled after investigators say the winning ticket had been stolen weeks earlier. According to officials with the Florida Lottery, just before noon on October 30th, 26-year-old Jawad Arab presented a Florida Lottery Fantasy 5 ticket at a Florida Lottery office in West Palm Beach. He handed over his ID and a ticket that was reportedly identified by its serial number as a winner worth $115,733.61. Florida Lottery staff then started the normal electronic verification process. This involves sending the ticket information electronically from the West Palm Beach Lottery office to the Florida Lottery headquarters in Leon County. The electronic communication was part of the processing. The lottery later determined that the ticket he tried to cash in was actually stolen. That ticket had been taken from the real owner on the morning of October 2nd from a business in North Lauderdale. Despite the reported theft, he claimed the ticket was his. On November 24th, a Florida Lottery law enforcement special agent called him, who said he got the ticket from his uncle around October 22nd, saying his uncle told him to cash the ticket and not to identify his uncle as the person who had the ticket. The agent says he provided his uncle's full name and location of his North Lauderdale business, the same address from which the ticket was reported stolen. On January 3rd, investigators came to Herb's Sunrise home where he admitted that he knowingly submitted a false lottery claim form to try and steal the lottery winnings. Law enforcement say they caught up with him in Palm Beach County and took him to Palm Beach jail for processing.
They stole from his uncle.
Yeah.
$115,000 lottery ticket. He stole it, swiped it from his uncle, and then say, no, actually, he said it was cool. And he also said, I'm not supposed to tell you it was his ticket. Sure, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who we got today? I think I'm gonna go with the first class. First class idiots, first class bleeps from the 785. I know what word that is. I can't say it. I can't even allude to it. I'm afraid to even allude to it, but I'm thinking it. And from the 785. Yeah, we'll go with the first class, the low class first class. That'll be our first weekly winner, or first winner for the week here on What Is Wrong With You. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, the common problem between KU and K-State that has sent them spiraling early in Big 12 play. We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. .444 and 580 Sports Talk. So I'm watching submissions come in for 580 Sports Talk Idol. That's coming up next Tuesday, January 20th in the 4 o'clock hour. We're all going to sing 580 Sports Talk Idol. We're going to sing songs selected by the listeners. And you could submit your songs for consideration to the text line, 785-272-9429, or in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. And one common theme emerging. So the way we're going to do it, myself and Spencer and Brendan, we're all going to sing one song as chosen by the listeners. And the listeners are going to vote for who they thought did the best job. And then the two non-winners are going to duet. And a lot of people are submitting songs for the duet. And y'all really want to hear Islands in the Stream. Y'all really, really want to hear Islands in the Stream by Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. That's not even my favorite Kenny Rogers duet, if we're being honest. I'm partial.
What is?
I'm partial to Every Time Two Fools Collide with him and Dottie West. But that's because the Harlem Diplomats sampled it on a song back when I was in college.
I wouldn't be sad if somebody submitted "Shallow" as a duet.
That would be a good one.
Yeah,
that would be a good duet. A lot of the songs that are being submitted also have like a distinct like falsetto element to them. And you guys listen to us talk every day. You know how problematic that's going to be for all three of us to get our voices into that register. So what I mean to say is you guys are approaching this with the right intent when it comes to the songs that you are submitting. So we'll take entries up until Thursday. So get your entries in, and you can enter as many songs as you want. We'll put them all in a hat, and then we'll draw. We'll draw which songs we're going to sing. Again, radio and karaoke friendly, please.
But your song, it's not like somebody can keep submitting a song and it'll be in there every single time.
Right? Yeah. So 1 vote per song. Yeah, we're not going to put My Maria in there 72 times
because 72 people have texted.
Roughly. Anyway. Let's talk some college basketball where we got a moment here. Kansas and Kansas State both losing on the road on Saturday. Not fun times for basketball in the cradle of hoops. At least Wichita State won on Sunday. KU losing to West Virginia. K-State losing at Arizona State. Games that neither team should have lost based on the Ken Pom numbers. These were winnable games for both teams, and they were not won. And both teams took nice-sized leads midway through the second half. KU led by 8, K-State led by 7, but allowed big second-half runs because the offense ran dry and the defense could not get a stop. It felt very familiar. Both games followed a very similar script. The issue that both Kansas and Kansas State are having right now is that their front courts are not playing at a Big 12 caliber level. And for Kansas State, I don't know that that's a fixable problem. I don't know that that's going to be something that corrects itself for Kansas State's bigs. Their best big is Kamari McGriff, and right now he can't stay on the floor. That's back-to-back games where McGriff has picked up 2 fouls as soon as he's gotten off the bus, and he can't stay on the court. So that's a problem. But also McGriff isn't real big, so he doesn't really help you defensively. The biggest of K-State's bigs is Doreen Buka, and I'm going to call him Buka de Beppo because people are eating off of him. That freshman big man for Arizona State, Jop, he looked like prime Dikembe Mutombo against K-State on Saturday. He blocked like half a dozen shots, and he was scoring over Buka anytime he wanted to. Anytime. And it wasn't just him. It was the other bigs, too, for Arizona State. Like, Buka's 7'2". That's supposed to be a deterrent at the rim, and it's just not. Guys go right at him like he's food, and they score over him over and over. It's so
bad just watching an offensive possession for the other team when he's on the floor into the defender.
They just go right at him, and then nobody else is big enough, right? Like outside of those two, like Rapiek 6'8". We talked about this. Manning 6'7", Moby 6'6". And there's only so much rim protecting those guys can do, but it's not the rim protecting that's the big problem. It's the rebound. They can't rebound. I'm going to get back to that point in a second. For KU, it was supposed to be better than this up front. Flory Badunga is making a substantial amount of money to be a Kansas Jayhawk, and he has not played well one time in Big 12 play. We're 3 games in, but he is not bringing the goods.
Well, he got destroyed the other day. We talked to Michael Swain. I asked him about what we saw in non-conference play, about if we kind of see that translate where he's, getting into double figures and having near a double-double with the rebounds, and it's just not there.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. And then he's getting beat on the defensive end.
And there's no help. There's no help because Bryson Tiller looks totally overwhelmed, which sometimes that happens to freshmen. And you hope that eventually he'll get some sea legs and he'll play better as the Big 12 schedule goes on. But right now, he's not giving KU anything. Paul Mbia can't play, apparently. Just can't play because he doesn't get off the bench. So it's Flory or nothing right now for KU underneath. And so they are getting outplayed, both teams, in the front court. But Bill Self had it right. We suck right now, but it's right now. Like, there's a long season. But Dunga, you'd like to think he's played well in conference games before. You'd like to think he can get to another level. If he does, and Darren Peterson continues to be a 30-minute-a-game guy, and they figure out how to make them the right 30 minutes, 31, 32 minutes, I still think KU's probably going to be all right. I don't think they feel like a conference championship contender. They're certainly an NCAA tournament caliber team, but they don't feel like a conference championship contender right now. One, because the upper crust of the league is so freaking good. But two, they just don't defend well enough. That's their biggest issue. K-State, I'll go back to them real quick. They get crushed, just manhandled on the boards. They gave up some crucial offensive rebounds to Arizona State down the stretch. So even when they did stay organized defensively and get stops, Arizona State was getting offensive rebounds and putbacks. And that's been a problem all season long for this team, an inability to get to the glass. And some of it is, look, you're not big. They're not a big team. But rebounding isn't just about size. It's about 1-2. It's about dog in you. Where are K-State's dogs? This is the third straight year we're asking this question about Kansas State's team. Where are their dogs? Where is the Marquise Noel, Desi Sills, Keontae Johnson type of player? And I don't mean in terms of skill set. I mean those guys would rather have keeled over dead than lost at Arizona State. Where are the guys who are going to refuse to lose? I see a Kansas State team that just kind of, I don't think they go through the motions, but I don't think they have the requisite dog in them, so to speak. I just don't see that fire in this Kansas State team, that losing is unacceptable and that they're going to find a way. That was a game where you've got to find a way to win. And Kansas State just doesn't do that. These guys don't do that. Last year's team didn't do that. And that's the difference. Talent-wise, Kansas State is a solid middle-of-the-pack Big 12 team. They've got better players than Arizona State does. I really firmly believe that. Talent-wise, they are a firmly middle-of-the-pack team. But sometimes you go on the road in this league, any team is good enough to beat you. You've got to find a way to dig a game out of the mud. And Kansas State has not proven to me that they can do that. And they're running out of chances. Now, I looked at their schedule before the season started. They had 18 conference games. To my mind, there were 12 of them that I thought reasonably they could win, and it wouldn't surprise me because it was against the bottom half of the league, or it was KU at home, which Tang's never lost, or it was the Baylor game, which Tang's got a good record against Scott Drew. 12 games that I thought, Kansas State, talent-wise, man for man, they're good enough to win that game. 12 out of the 18, that's not bad. You win them all, you're definitely going to the tournament. You win 10 of them, you're going to the tournament. You win 9 of them, you're probably going to the tournament. Well, they just lost the first one, which means now you're looking at going 10-1, 9-2 in those games. And that includes beat KU. That includes beat Baylor. And your margin for error is vanishingly thin. So if you don't find that dog in you, get ready to learn how to spell NIT again, I guess. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. .455 on 580 Sports Talk. Tyler in the YouTube comments Says fire in the drive went out the door for K-State, presumably. When the money truck showed up, players play to stay healthy now instead of laying everything on the line. I think that's probably true for some guys, but I don't think that's the reason. I think competitive fire is something you have or you don't, and the money doesn't change that. Like Keontae Johnson, I'm sure, was on an NIL package at K-State. Marquise Noel made some money. There are guys making money at Iowa State. There are guys making money right now at a lot of schools that have winning records, that win games, that find ways to win close games, that are competitive as hell. Texas Tech, guys getting paid at Tech, guys getting paid at BYU, guys getting paid at Arizona. It's not the money. If it were as easy as pointing to the money, then it'd solve a lot of problems. But it's not just that. I'm sure there are instances in which that is a factor. I do not think that that is what I would point to when it comes to Kansas State this season. Real quick, our playoff pool. We drafted the playoff teams on Tuesday. Nobody picked the Bears. That looks like a bad decision. So there's 10 points that were just sitting there that nobody claimed because nobody picked the Bears. But it was 10 points per first-round win. And with the first round set to conclude tonight, Brendan and I each have 20 points. I have the Bills and the Patriots. Brendan has the Rams and the 49ers. Spencer, you have the Seahawks still, and you could get a win if the Steelers win tonight. Otherwise, you would be bageled in round one if the Texans win.
Yeah, I don't feel good about my selections.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Hey, nobody picked the Bears. I can't believe nobody picked the Bears. And, I mean, you watched first half of that game, you understood why.
Yeah.
You really did. We'll come back with some headlines. We got the non-quarterback stars from the Wild Card weekend, and we'll look ahead to that Texans-Steelers game tonight. That's coming up in the final hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you. Brendan Dworzinski's off today. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, spending your time here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Lots more to get to in the final hour of the program. We're going to get back into some NFL playoff chat. We talked about the quarterbacks at the top of the show. What about the non-quarterbacks that stood out with their play on the weekend? Plus, a look ahead to tonight's game, the Texans and the Steelers, the wild card weekend finale. You can catch it right here tonight from Westwood One on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We will pick up the pregame coverage at 7 o'clock after the Jeff Mittie show, which will run at 6 o'clock from the K-State Sports Network after we're done here on 580 Sports Talk. And we'll have the entire broadcast of the Texans and the Steelers, the AFC finale. Already know that on Saturday, this coming Saturday, it'll be one AFC game, Bills at Broncos, one NFC game, 49ers at Seahawks. On Sunday, the winner of tonight's game will go to New England, and the Rams will play the Bears. We don't know the times. We don't know the networks. We just know the dates, which is a little weird. I don't remember them doing it like that before, but maybe they have, and I just didn't pay attention.
I don't know. It's only been a couple of years, right, for this new
to have the Monday night game.
The exact format that they currently have.
The seventh playoff team. 4 years now, 5 years.
Kind of screws some teams like the 49ers. They're going to go play on Saturday.
They do. Short week of prep.
They also have to cross-country flight back.
They do. Then go up to Seattle. Not a friendly place to play.
I heard they didn't get back until 3 a.m. local time this morning.
So here's my question about George Kittle. George Kittle tore his Achilles, by the way, on Sunday. I don't know.
If you watch that play, man, you could see it.
Yeah.
Plain as day. That's the most.
So it's wild that, none of us have, most of us, I shouldn't say none of us. I mean, we might be somebody listening who's a medical doctor. There might be we might have some people in the medical field, but most of us watching sports, we do not have, we don't have our licenses to practice medicine.
Yeah.
So guys get hurt and we watch it and we don't know. We say, oh, that looks bad, or, oh yeah, he clearly rolled his ankle or whatever. But the Achilles is the one we all know how to recognize immediately. Yep. The Achilles is the one who, when Tyrese Halliburton tore his in the 7th game of the NBA Finals last summer. You took one look at the replay. Oh, yep, that was his Achilles. Oh man, that stinks. And I guess we'll see him in a year. You just know. You see it, and you know exactly what that injury is, and you know exactly how long it's going to be until you're going to see that player again. And that sucks. But here's my question about George Kittle. So Diana Rossini was on site. Diana Rossini from The Athletic.
I know where you're going with
and this. Did some extensive reporting that somebody brought a bottle of tequila down to the locker room because they also knew immediately down in the locker room that it was a torn Achilles. The Kittle was out for the rest of the game and probably for about a year. And they said they killed the tequila. They drank an entire bottle of tequila.
The exact quote from her post on X, after she had posted, a San Francisco 49ers employee just walked in the locker room carrying what appeared to be a bottle of tequila. Best guess, it's for George Kittle. Her next tweet later on, quoting it, said, "Here's what I found out. It wasn't Patron tequila. The bottle was sent down from the owner from his suite to Kittle after he requested it. That bottle is now empty."
Yeah, so they crushed a bottle of Patron. Here's my question. What, by percentage, how much of that you think was Kittle?
I don't know, man. Probably 50.
I hope so, for his sake. That was, if it's for you, I think you should get to drink the majority of it, right? Or at least the plurality. I don't know how many people were in there, how much it was going around. Maybe it was rally tequila. Maybe they had a couple of guys at halftime get some shots in them, and that's why they were able to beat the Eagles. I
mean, I don't know if you know the history of the NFL and drinking, but a lot of players used to do it.
Oh yeah.
Like there, Clinton Portis, famous, then Redskin. He talked about Henny.
Uh-huh.
Him, Sean T,
hit the Henny
and
at
Santana
halftime.
Moss used to hit Henny at halftime.
Yeah. I think some of that's a little exaggerated. And Clinton Portis would never let the facts get in the way of a good story. You got to remember that about CPO, about Coach Janky Spanky, that he would not let the facts get in the way of a good story. But anyway, neither here nor there. We'll talk some more playoff football later on this hour. Looking for your text, 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429. Text your thoughts on the playoffs. Text your thoughts on what's going on in the sports world. Text your suggestions for 580 Sports Talk Idol. Those are flying in. Suggest your songs for what the three of us should sing next Tuesday when we do 580 Sports Talk Idol as a thank you, as an appreciation. Yes, we're going to sing because we like you guys, and we appreciate that 900 plus have now subscribed to the YouTube channel. But get your song suggestions in on the text line or in the live chat on YouTube. Again, the name of the channel, 580 Sports Talk. A lot of Weird Al being suggested, which is interesting because you don't have to sing that well. That's kind of the whole thing. Like,
yeah,
Weird Al's not like the most talented vocalist there's ever been. A lot of Weird Al suggestions. That would be a break to draw a Weird Al song because you wouldn't have to sing it good. You just have to sing it. Just do your best. No falsettos there, right?
Nope.
Anyway, let's get into some headlines. We got quite a few of them from the weekend. Let us begin with the latest from college football. Kansas State has their new offensive coordinator, made it official earlier today. It is Sean Gleason, who is the new offensive coordinator. He'll work under new head coach Colin Klein. Now, how much of the play design, game plan design, play calling Gleason will do, certainly up for debate. Not sure if Colin Klein will choose to call his own plays yet or not. But Sean Gleason, 19-year-old. Yeah, that'd be something. Played a lot of college football, 25. He was really good at it. No, 19-year coaching veteran, spent the last 2 years at Mizzou working as the quarterbacks coach. He was previously offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach at Rutgers and at Oklahoma State. Was a Broyles Award candidate in 2020 at Rutgers, where he tutored two future NFL players, including Isaiah Pacheco. He's originally from out in New Jersey, that part of the country. Came to the Midwest to work, again, at Oklahoma State 2019. And 2 years at Rutgers, 1 year at Northwestern as the senior offensive analyst, the last 2 years at Mizzou. And he is the new offensive coordinator at Kansas State. The Wildcats also busy in the portal, as are the Jayhawks. We'll try and get you caught up. I don't know how much of this you guys got to on Friday's show, but this was everybody I could find who has committed since roughly Friday afternoon. Kansas State made a couple additions to the offensive line. Akron offensive lineman Devin Morris and Colorado State's Tanner Morley. Also, two additions in the defensive backfield, one from the ACC, one from the SEC. Virginia defensive back Jason Prevard and Georgia safety Adrian Maddox. It'll be Maddox's third stop. He was previously UAB. Also, Oregon running back Jay Harris joins what is becoming a very exciting running back room for the Wildcats. Harris scored a touchdown in Oregon's loss to Indiana in the college football playoff on Friday night. And
I was about to say, I mean, that was a quick turnaround for him to commit.
Yeah. He went right into the portal and right to Manhattan. So he'll join Rodney Fields and Joe Jackson, what looks like a really promising running back room for the Jayhawks. KU continues to be busy. Today they received a commitment from Arkansas defensive tackle Kevin Otis and Middle Tennessee State wide receiver Najee Cox. Caught 40 passes and 5 touchdowns last year. Louisville defensive back Corey Gordon is a big get in this cycle for the Jayhawks. Certainly they need safety help. He will provide that. They needed a couple of tight ends. They got a pair of commitments from Albany's Carter Moses and Old Dominion's Jalen Butler. Also, Oklahoma State center Kason Carpenter committing to KU. And I don't know if you got to this on Friday or not, Spencer, but former Marshall linebacker Jabril Alameen is going to KU. Certainly, their linebacker room was pretty barren after portal departures. So they add Jabril Alameen. You are in a unique position to tell KU folks what they're getting in the new guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a good player. He's a 1 year player at Marshall. Obviously, if you've listened to the show, you know Marshall Max Exodus last a year ago in the portal with Charles Huff going to Southern Miss. So getting in a new head coach and whole new program. He's a 1-year guy at Marshall, came from Jacksonville State. Did pretty well for himself in a rotation at linebacker that Marshall had this year with a lot of guys coming in, including some guys that Coach Gibson brought from NC State. But he had 5.5 sacks, 56 total tackles, that was 5.5 tackles for loss, and he had 3 sacks on the season. So
Okay.
pretty good season. And like I said, Marshall at the linebacker spot particularly, they rotated a ton of guys, and some guys were injured for part of the year, and then some guys came back. So he was a guy that I think was going to go because he played a lot more without the guy that everybody thought was going to be the number 1 linebacker last year.
All right. There you go. There's your insider information on Jabril Alameen, newest Kansas linebacker, portaling in from Marshall. We probably, if I missed one, I apologize, but that's the latest as we have it at the 580 Sports desk. All right. Next headline, Spencer.
Yeah, I'll stay local with this headline. The 53rd annual Kansas Shrine Bowl rosters were unveiled over the weekend on, I believe it was a live stream on kansasshrinebowl.com.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to check out the full rosters, that's where you can go. We'll give you just a few guys from the area on the East roster. Hayden's defensive back, Cade Mitchell, Highland Park defensive back, Tremaine Savage, Holton linebacker, Cale Frazier.
Yep. Good player.
Nemaw Central quarterback, Carter Hayek, Osage City quarterback and punter, Kaysen Parsons, Rossville running back, Andre Johnson, Santa Fe Trail defensive lineman kicker, Julian Daniels, Seaman linebacker, Cameron Bryan, Silver Lake wide receiver, Dane Johnson. I knew that, and I don't know why I said
it's
that.
All good.
Washburn Rural defensive back, Brody Haas, and then Rossville's Derek Hamas is going to be on the coaching staff, among other people that his name. But if you want to go view the full roster, it'll be on kansasshrinebowl.com.
Always a great honor for a local student athlete to be selected. I'll throw a couple other names out there from our area schools. Jeff West, offensive lineman, Osiris Unruh, Jackson Heights tight end, Austin Zeller. This is the position that they're listed at on the roster. They probably, all these kids, of course, played multiple positions, especially if they were at the smaller schools. Also, Osage City head coach Andrew Gantenbein and Santa Fe Trail head coach Greg Slade also on the East coaching staff, along with, as you mentioned, Rossville's Derek Hamas. Game will be at Emporia State June 27th of this coming year.
So back on the east side of Kansas.
Back on the east side of Kansas, yes. Much more drivable for those of us in this part of the state who will want to go and see the Shrine Bowl this year. Next headline, we go to the AP Men's College Basketball Top 25. Kansas no longer in it. They fell out of this week's Top 25 after their loss on Saturday at West Virginia. Not the only Big 12 team to fall from the ranks of the ranked. UCF dropping out of the Top 25 this week as well. Arizona remains number 1. Iowa State and UConn each move up a spot. Iowa State number 2 receiving the other first place vote. Arizona has 60 of the 61 first place votes. UConn third. Michigan, who lost their first game of the year to Wisconsin on Saturday, drops number 4. Purdue remains 5th. 6 through 10, Duke, Houston, Nebraska, Gonzaga, and Vanderbilt. Nebraska and Vanderbilt, both unbeaten. Who would have guessed that back in October? And they both move into the top 10 for the first time this year. BYU dropped a pair of spots to 11th. 12 through 15, Michigan State, Illinois, North Carolina, and Texas Tech. Virginia, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, and Louisville, 16 through 20. Rounding out the top 25, Georgia, Clemson, Utah State, Tennessee, and Seton Hall. KU, by the way, remained ranked in the coaches poll at number 25, but they are unranked in the AP poll, which means when number 2 Iowa State comes to town tomorrow night, it will be the first time that Kansas has hosted a top 5 opponent as an unranked team since 1989. You can't imagine how young Roy Williams looked in 1989.
I was talking to Brendan about this earlier, and yeah.
Was still a Billy Tubbs Oklahoma team. Now, and was it 19? Yeah, that would have still been Billy Tubbs, 1989. So, that was the last time. Oklahoma, they were, I believe, number 2 in the country, and they came to Allen Fieldhouse in 1989. So that's the last time that piece of history has happened. Next headline, Spencer.
Yeah, we got some notable transfer moves here. Patrick Mahomes Jr., a.k.a. Dylan Raiola, he is shifting from Nebraska out west to Oregon as he commits to Oregon, and Sam Leavitt has officially committed to LSU.
Now, there were some rumblings that maybe the Leavitt thing was not as official, that perhaps, and if you're going to search him on social media, definitely do Sam Leavitt and not just Leavitt, because there's a high-ranking White House official with that last name. So, it does sound pretty official. There were some late rumors that Tennessee was going to make a move, but it does look like Sam Leavitt's going to LSU. I love that fit for him. The interesting thing about Raiola to Oregon, Dante Moore hasn't committed to the NFL draft yet. Moore's got another year of eligibility. Now, he's pretty high on the draft boards. He'd probably be a first-round pick if he did enter the draft. I think he is probably going to declare. But if he doesn't, it would be interesting. And I think that there is a bit of a past his prologue here, because Dante Moore was at Oregon last year. You don't remember that because he came from UCLA, where he was the starter, transferred to Oregon, sat a year behind Dylan Gabriel, and then became the starter. I don't know that Raiola would be willing. Yeah, I don't know if Raiola is willing to do that, but it's at least must have been on the table, unless they've got a pretty convincing commitment from Dante Moore that he's not going to be back at Oregon. One quarterback that we might yet see next year, Trinidad Chambliss of Ole Miss. His lawyers are taking his case for a 6th year of eligibility to court. They plan to file suit against the NCAA for a preliminary injunction that will aim to secure Chambliss's eligibility for 2026. The NCAA denied the waiver for a 6th year of eligibility on Friday. The standout quarterback for the Rebels had already signed an NIL deal for 2026. That deal, including incentives, could reach more than $6 million if Chambliss is available to play next year. 2 more quick hitter headlines from the world of sports. NASCAR has restored their previous Chase Championship format, returning to a 10-race playoff format, closely resembling the first iteration of the NASCAR playoff introduced 22 years ago. It will be a 16-driver field. There will be no driver eliminations every 3 races. Winning will be incentivized, and the driver with the most points at the November 8th finale in Miami will be the NASCAR Cup champion. Also, big news from the world of golf, as Brooks Koepka today has announced his return to the PGA Tour as part of a newly created returning member program that the PGA Tour basically created for 4 guys. And Koepka is one of them. Koepka left Live Golf earlier this year, like a month ago. So I guess it would have been late last year, technically speaking. But about a month ago, announced that he would not be returning to the Saudi blood money golf circuit, and that he will, in fact, be returning to the PGA Tour. The returning member program allows live golfers who have been away from the PGA Tour for at least 2 years to return to the PGA Tour under certain conditions and with severe financial penalties, as long as you won the Players' Championship or one of the 4 majors since 2002. There are 4 players who meet that criteria. They are Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, and Cameron Smith. I don't think Bryson DeChambeau is going to leave Live because they let him do all the YouTube golf he wants to do. And honest to God, I think Bryson likes being a YouTube golfer more than he likes being a professional golfer. Yeah. But John Rahm and Cameron Smith, Rahm especially, I think he's going to think about it. And
I knew this day would come.
Yeah, kind of always felt like it would, didn't
It's like they weren't taking over the golf world, PGA, especially when they kind of aligned together.
And it was always going to be Koepka who was the first one to go back over the divide because he never cared for all that nonsense anyway. You know, all the other live golfers would wear their team gear to the majors. Koepka just wore Nike stuff. Like, Brooks does whatever he wants. That's kind of his whole deal. But you could tell he never was really fully bought in. He was just like, hey, man, my career was at a crossroads. They offered me a huge sack of money. I took it. But then I got good at golf again, and maybe if I knew I could be good at golf again, maybe I wouldn't have taken all that money.
Yeah.
He was honest and forthright about it from the beginning. So he's back on the PGA Tour, and maybe some other big names could follow coming back from Live Golf. That'll do it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. When we come back, the non-quarterbacks who were the heroes of Wild Card Weekend. Next on 580 Sports Talk. By 30 on 580 Sports Talk. 785-272-9429, the text line. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Hop in the live chat if you're watching live today or any day from 3 to 6 Central Time on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. Also popular amongst our submissions of songs for 580 Sports Talk Idol coming up next Tuesday. A lot of y'all want us to sing Olivia Newton-John. And listen, she has great songs. Like, not going to pretend she doesn't have some great songs. I'm just surprised at how many of the songs that have been submitted are by Olivia Newton-John. Like, a lot of them. Some of them, I'll be fair, I haven't entirely heard of. So, we're gonna have to do our studying up if one of us draws an Olivia Newton-John song. That's for sure.
My favorite one is somebody wants me to sing Baby Got Back.
Yes, we had a texter from the 785 who made specific requests for the three of us. And you can do that. If there's one song that you really want one of the three of us to sing more than the other, we can note that when we put the song in the hat. But yeah, this texter says, wants me to sing My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion, which, again, I'm not sure I can get to that register. I can sure try. Wants Brendan to sing Justin Bieber's Baby, and wants you to sing Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. And you know what? Those are all great karaoke choices, truly. And I hope we don't pick any of those.
Yeah, I'm right there with
we don't. I kind of hope. Actually, you know what? Brendan drew Justin Bieber. I think that'd be pretty funny. I think it'd be pretty good. I think we could maybe work with that.
He certainly has the hair.
He does. Before we get into the on-field stuff, I want to talk some more wild card weekend. I want to talk about two things that happened in relation to coaches off the field. I want to get your thoughts. Look for your takes, of course, on the text line or in the YouTube comments. First of all, Saturday night, Ben Johnson shakes Matt LaFleur's hand for approximately 0.02 milliseconds. Doesn't even look at him. Does the flyby at midfield, and then is filmed in the locker room after the game saying "bleep the Packers." My thoughts on the subject: I think it's good when teams hate each other. I have no problem with rivalries. I don't think that there's anything that's required of professionals to necessarily like each other. And I think it's probably for the better part of my lifetime, the Packers have pushed the Bears around. And I'm not a spring chicken. I turned 40 this year. So when I say the better part of my lifetime, that's a long ass time that the Packers have pushed the Bears around. So for a Bears coach to say, I don't like those guys, F those guys, I'm not going to pretend I like those guys, I'm not going to pretend I like their coach, I want to kick his butt twice a year, and then to go and do it and then beat him in the playoffs, that's manna from heaven for Bears fans. So I think that plays really, really well for the Bears, and I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. You said you didn't like the handshake, though.
Yeah, I'm not just like, dude, shake your hand. Like, it's sportsmanship.
Yeah, you can look the guy in the eye and say good game.
Yeah, like, I mean, even
do that. It doesn't have to be.
Also, I'm pretty sure
Nick
Sirianni, whether he liked it or not, he meant it or not, he told Kyle Shanahan go win it all.
Yeah,
like, respect for a guy that I hate and that we talked about earlier. I hate Nick Sirianni, but for him to say that, that's sportsmanship.
Yeah, but I don't mind it. Like, here's the thing, like. It's one thing when it's like Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh who have like a history.
Yeah.
And it goes back and those guys don't like each other for things that we know.
Yeah.
Like we know why they don't like each other. So when they do the, what's your deal? Like the real quick handshake and like, I can get with that. Ben Johnson appears to just have invented like some slight that Matt LaFleur did him or just, I just decided I didn't like that guy. And I can understand where that rubs some people the wrong way.
Well,
but I don't have a problem with rivalry. I don't think it has to be nice.
I will say, and I think I've seen this, it comes from his time in Detroit, which was...
Yeah, where they coached against each other.
For 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think, like, that, I guess I'm okay with. And, like, but if you were just the Bears coach and you were, I don't know, like the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator, just before that or whatever, if you hadn't stopped in the division, if you hadn't been in the division for 4 or 5 years, I don't see it, but I see this because he started in Detroit in 2019.
Yeah, but at the same time, like where is the personal like vendetta? Like again, it feels just like, okay, yeah, I've coached against this guy and I just decided I didn't like him. Which again, I don't have the biggest problem in the world with that, but it is different to me. It rings differently than when like Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh are coaching against each other in college, and that's where that disrespect comes from. Like direct head-to-head meetings where it's an offensive coordinator against a head coach. The offensive coordinator says, "You know what? I decided I don't like that guy." Like I don't know, but I don't mind it. I don't have a problem with the flyby handshake. I don't think everything has to be all politeness. Anyway, the other thing, Liam Cohen, after the game, after the Jaguars lost to the Bills in the playoffs, there's a reporter in Jacksonville by the name of Lynn Jones, and she's become pretty viral. She is the associate editor of the Jacksonville Free Press,
which is normally go to games though. Like, is she a normal beat reporter?
That I don't know, but I'm guessing the associate editor of a newspaper that's not like the major newspaper in town. The Free Press is I want to see how this is described here. This is one of the Free Press is one of more than 230 African-American newspapers still printing in the country today. It is by and for the African-American population in Jacksonville. And I am guessing that the associate editor probably isn't a regular visitor to the press room at a Jacksonville Jaguars game, because regular visitors to the press room at the end of a sporting event know that you don't do what she did, which, for the record, if you did not hear it, let's get to the video.
You hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you
it.
just hold your head up, okay?
Thanks,
and ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, like,
That was far too long, too.
yeah, that was a lot. And there's nothing wrong with the sentiment. There's nothing wrong with the sentiment. But, yeah, that's not the kind of thing, if you're a seasoned sports journalist, that you do. And so I think
too, especially in the post game initially after.
yeah, like I understand why it rubbed people. Like it's one of those, again, I understand why that rubbed people.
Did
the
you
wrong
see?
way.
Oh, you probably didn't, because you're not an ex. There's some, ex person that takes stuff. What are those people called?
Aggregators?
Yes, an aggregator who was like, replied to, I think her name's Brooke Pryor, ESPN Pittsburgh reporter.
Yes. Brooke Pryor used to work for the Kansas City Star.
I think so. It was on the topic of this, and Brooke had said, like, that's not something that a sports reporter asked. And this aggregator guy pulls out a mini camp, or the initial press conference at camp for Aaron Rodgers, and asked, well, then why'd you ask him about his wedding ring? That is in like July.
Completely different.
Yeah, I know.
Her job is to report on players. That is within the boundary.
It's also July. It's not a game thing.
Right. It's not a reporter's job to give the losing head coach a bit of a pep talk. But that was on Lynn Jones's heart, and she is not does not seem as though she is a seasoned sports reporter or has been in those rooms or in those settings very often. And that, like, I wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't have done it. Brendan wouldn't have done it. Any of the folks that we have on this show who are beat writers, who are longtime coverers of sports, we wouldn't have done it. But she did it.
That's
and I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, I really don't understand why people are so up in arms about it. That was obviously somebody who was a little bit not out of her depth, but just not in her element, and who felt like, hey, I need to say this. And I feel like this is an appropriate place. And it wasn't, but maybe she didn't know.
That's something you say if you happen to be in the hallway at the same time as them, or as they're walking out the door. Coach, congrats on a great season.
Sure. Yeah. One of those. Yeah.
That's not something you take the mic.
Right. Time and place. Yeah. And wrong. Totally fine sentiment. Very kind sentiment, in fact. Somebody I follow on
didn't watch
social
the
media
full thing,
said,
though.
somebody on social media that I follow said, man, I wish she could like come to my job and tell me how I was doing a good job.
I didn't watch the full thing. I don't know if you did. Was this like in the middle of the press conference or was this
I don't know.
towards the end?
I would imagine it was towards the end. I'm sure that all the football stuff was out of the way first, but yeah, I mean, I just don't understand why this is a thing to be up in arms about. Anyway, we talked about the quarterbacks at the top of the show. They're the story. They're always the story from the weekend. Other guys that stood out to me from the weekend. Talked about New England. Their defense, it was dominant, totally suffocated everything that the Chargers were trying to do. And the two guys that I thought were the most impressive, Milton Williams and Christian Gonzalez. Gonzalez went into the tent, concussion protocol, I think, at the end of that game. And New England better hope that he is good to go for next week. But Milton Williams
is officially in protocol.
Yeah. Milton Williams, like you talk about, a wise free agent investment. That guy got the big money after his breakout year with Philadelphia last season, and just goes to show you that there are a few things more valuable in this game than interior pass rush.
Yeah.
And if you can win through the middle, rushing the passer, that's going to give your defense an opportunity to look really, really good. And Williams was immense. He dominated that game. And he should, because the Charger offensive line is awful. But Milton Williams was dominant. Christian Gonzalez was terrific. And those are the name guys for New England that are going to have to play well for the Patriots to make a playoff run.
I will never forgive. Sorry, there's a little gripe here. I will never forgive Ron Rivera and Marty Mayhew and whoever the other Marty guy was that running the Commanders, that they picked Emmanuel Forbes over Christian Gonzalez. I will never forgive them for that.
Yeah.
He didn't allow a reception on any of his 5 targets across 26 coverage snaps in that victory.
Yeah, he was awesome. You know who else was awesome in the secondary? Trey White for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
This is more of a Sean McDermott tip of the cap here, that the Bills defense is just a lot of spare parts and veteran guys past their sell-by dates right now. But they had a really good game plan, and they made it hard for Jacksonville to move the ball through the air, which Jacksonville's counter would have been a really easy one. Just keep running the ball. You're averaging 8 yards a carry. Why did you stop running the football? Liam Cohen, young man, why did you stop running the football? That would have been my question. And Lynn Jones, hey, Lynn, you did a great job, young man. You got a lot to be proud of. Why'd you stop running the football? Anyway, the defense for the Bills, it's a lot of spare parts right now. But Sean McDermott cooked up a scheme that right now is getting the most of a lot of those spare parts. And Trey White, a guy he's past it. Like, there was a time Trey White was one of the best corners in the league. This is not that time. But he made 2 immense plays in that football game. And if he doesn't make either of them, I don't think Buffalo wins. And this maligned Bills defense, which if they don't win the championship, we're going to point to that group and say this was the impediment. This was probably the reason if they don't get it done. But Trey White making the plays that he made in the secondary is, I think, emblematic of getting what you can from guys and just finding ways, which the Bills defense has done, finding ways to make impactful plays. No matter who's out there, just finding a way to make an impactful play and to go win a football game. No excuses, just go make a play. And Trey White did that. The other guy that stood out to me from the weekend, Colston Loveland, looked, I don't know if he was wearing an invisibility cloak or what, but the Packers couldn't cover him. That deep out or that corner route to the tight end was open the entire second half for the Bills. And Loveland ended up with, I think it was 8 catches for 100 some odd yards. I don't have the box in front of me. 137 yards. And that was the guy they thought they were getting when they drafted him in the first round. I know it was a really slow start to his first pro season, but you could see the vision as the year went on with Loveland. He looks like he could, in very short order, enter the ranks of the elite at the tight end position. And the Bears' ability to do 2 tight end stuff with him and Otten, who's also a good player, makes them really, really hard to defend.
Yeah. I got a guy who I think was pretty good
Give him to me.
For what it's worth, for what what he has seen so far this season. It's actually a former Kansas State player for the 49ers, Marquise Siegel.
Okay.
He was filling in for, is it Jair Brown, I think, the corner for?
Jair Brown.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Getting his name wrong.
24 coverage snaps, 40 total snaps, 1 catch allowed, 8 yards. 8 total tackles, 1 stop, a 69.4 coverage grade, a 73.4 overall grade. Second highest on the 49ers.
Yeah, you talk about another defense that's spare parts.
That's like a next man up mentality.
Yeah, Matt Verderame called them a wounded animal when we talked to him in the 3 o'clock
but
hour.
If you can get this for the rest of the playoffs, like if that could be consistent, you might, if you can continue to move on, might be a part of the reason you make a Super Bowl run with spare parts.
Again, acknowledging my bias before I say this, that is a defense that could not stop the Seahawks in Santa Clara 2 weeks ago. The only team that stopped the Seahawks in that game was the Seahawks. Why they finished with only 13 points. They probably should have scored 30. The Eagles did a fine job of stopping the Eagles. The last time we saw an offense in attack mode against the 49ers, the Bears scored 30-odd points against them in week 17. Give them credit. They came up with the stop they had to have. They made the play they had to make. It was Eric Kendricks, who I forgot was still in the league, making the play on the 4th down to seal that game. But at some point, you run into a better team and you run out of horses. And all the credit in the world to San Francisco for getting as far as they've gotten. They've done a tremendous job on this playoff run. Kyle Shanahan deserves a lot of credit for keeping it going, even as they lose, so many important guys.
Yeah.
But Seattle was demonstrably better than them 2 weeks ago, and I have a hard time seeing that being different when they play in Seattle this coming Saturday. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. Quick preview of tonight's game, the final wildcard game between the Texans and the Steelers on 580 Sports Talk. Heading down the home stretch on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Coming up top of the 6 o'clock hour, the Jeff Mitty Show. And then following that, we've got Westwood One's coverage of the final wild card weekend game as the Houston Texans take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. I momentarily forgot the name of the stadium. It came back to me. Acrisure Stadium.
It'll always be Heinz Field to the Steelers fans.
I respect that. You have been resolute, Spencer. You're believing in the Steelers tonight.
Yes.
Finish the sentence for me. The Steelers win tonight because
DK Metcalf.
When we had Matt Verderame on the 3 o'clock hour, he talked about the Steelers are going to need to create yards after the catch because the ball's going to come out quick.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf is built like an SUV, but a very fast SUV.
Yeah.
And he's coming off of obviously the 2 weeks off from that suspension. And you think he's the difference maker tonight?
I think he is the guy that can get other guys going, if that makes sense, because now there's another guy to worry about. The last couple of weeks, there hadn't really been a second guy to worry about.
It's true.
They were, and their tight end depth is getting a little low with Darnell Washington, I believe, out for the year, the big guy.
Yeah.
And, you don't have a big tight end room besides Freiermuth. So I think you get another weapon that your third guy can get open.
I think the Texans are going to win tonight because I do think this will be a pretty low scoring game. I think big plays are going to tip this game, and I think the Texans are likelier to make those big plays through the passing game because they're going to have time to get some of those deep passes off to Nico Collins or the rookies, Noel and who's the other one from Iowa State, Higgins. I think they're going to have more opportunities to hit on those field-flipping big plays where the Steelers are just going to be, look, Rodgers going to drop back and get it out. And it's going to be on Metcalf or Marquez, playoff MVS, right? Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Warren or Gainwell, the backs. It's going to be on them to create against the Texans defense that is fast, and they're fast to the ball, and they tackle really well. I just think the big play potential for the Texans is going to be the separator tonight. I think a close game, though. I think 16-13 Texans. I'll go with that.
I'll go 21-17 Steelers.
All righty. You can, again, catch the game right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Final word is next. Quick walk-off, quick wrap-up, quick final word on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer.
It was weird to hear the commentators this weekend not talk about the AFC teams going on to face a potential Kansas City Chiefs team. Very weird to not hear the Chiefs mentioned in the playoffs as we're actually here.
Final word for me, Josh Allen proved in Jacksonville he's that guy. Justin Herbert continues to prove in his playoff career that he is most emphatically not that guy. We've got more 580 Sports Talk coming your way tomorrow from 3 until 6. Until then, the Jeff Mitty Show is next, followed by Texans and the Steelers from Westwood One, the final game of Wild Card Weekend. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero, and this was 580 Sports Talk.